This podcast is part of Mishmash Media. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Welcome to Season 5 of Curbcast. My name is Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
And every week we get an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm in chronological order, and we review it scene by scene. And every time we watch an episode, we are watching it for the very first time. So this is nice and fresh for our eyes. It's like a nice fresh sandwich at the deli, you know what I mean?
Yeah, with sable and whitefish and onion and capers and all of those good things.
I had to Google because I knew what whitefish was, Steve, but I didn't know what sable was. But apparently sable is like a very salty fish. Did you know this?
I thought sable was a mammal, like a little rat thing.
Oh, okay. No, I thought it was. I thought it was like a fish or something. That's what I read.
Well,
unless if I misread that correctly, I can quickly Google it.
Well,
find out what it is.
There is sable fish, and then there is sable, which is a little marsupial mammal type thing. So I'm going to guess that it's probably sable fish. Because I don't think it'd be like having a possum.
They did say in the episode 2 kinds of fish. Yeah.
Oh well, there you go.
That's what I got. I don't think they'd be like. Yeah, I've just googled sable the mammal, but I don't think you eat the mammal in any.
No, it'd be like
it's like eating a squirrel or something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, people eat squirrel, but I don't think it's a regular thing that would appear on a sandwich in an LA deli.
No. But I thought they said in the episode that there's 2 kinds of fish, which is very, very weird. But apparently, like from what I read, sable, like the fish is like a very salty fish.
Oh.
So like 2 kinds of fish. Yeah, it's a pretty disgusting combo, actually.
Yeah, just fish on a sandwich, unless it's a fish finger sandwich, is a bit gross. I understand why everyone in this episode's a bit, a bit disappointed.
And it's got onions and it's got like all this weird stuff on it. It's like, what? Okay.
It should come.
I can see why. Yeah.
It should come with like a complimentary stick of gum to fix your breath up after you've eaten it, because it wouldn't be very nice.
It should come with a carload of Mentos.
Yeah.
Put in by Antoinette, the secretary. Like last season, I was like, just fill the car.
Fill the
car full of Mentos.
Yeah, just fill it up with, breath fresheners. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, various candies. Yeah, if you buy one of those, you get a free car filled with all those refreshments.
That's right. If you want to talk to us about sandwich menus, you can. We've got an email address. I had to think on that one. curbcastpod@gmail.com. And we're on social media as well. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. We have a Facebook group called the Curb Your Enthusiasm Fan Club. So check that out if you want to join a bunch of other Curb fans talking Larry and talking Curb on Facebook. And we do have a Patreon as well if you want to support us financially. It was a bit.
Yeah, close enough. Financially, yep.
Yep. Mishmash.
Just give us money.
Yeah,
if you want to give us money, damn you. That's what you're trying to say.
Just find us on the street and throw coins at our head.
Yes.
The Patreon.
Make it rain.
Patreon.com/Mishmash Media, which is the name of our fledgling podcast network. And for as little as $1 a month, you can support us. We don't have any bonus content at the moment, but over the year we will be rolling that out. So you can get in early and support us if you wish. And finally, you can support us non-financially too. If you want to rate us or review us on your podcast app of choice, that would be fantastic. It really helps spread the word and increase our place in search results and appearances in the algorithm. So that would be fantastic.
Yes, thank you. That would be amazing. Very good, Steve. And just before we do get into the episode, I've got a little story to tell you. I want to give a shout out to a particular listener. So I haven't mentioned this on the podcast before, but since September last year, I've been doing streaming on Twitch. So I've been playing like games and doing all sorts of stuff on there. It's been really, really fun. My Twitch account is called One Hip Gamer because of my my half pelvis that I have because of surgery that I had a few years ago. Yeah. So what happened was, Steve, I was doing a stream, and then what happened was someone who I haven't spoken to for several years jumped into Twitch, and they were like, "Oh, hey, do you remember me?" And with Twitch, you've got like usernames. You don't have like people's like full names on there, obviously. And I was like, "No, who's this?" And they were like, "Oh, you interviewed me for one of your podcasts a few years ago." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember you." And they gave like their first name, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember you," right? So that's all well and good. And then I had a long time, someone who's been following me from the US. Their name is Chris. They've been following me. Well, I know their first name is Chris because of their username. But Chris, he said, "Oh, so do you do a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I talked about Curbcast, and we talked about our old one, Bidwabask, and a few other things I've done as well, because I've kept those things separate usually. But this viewer who jumped in, who I happened to do an interview for a little while ago, kind of semi-doxed me, but in a good way though. So, and Chris, he basically, I just want to say big thanks to Chris. He's from the US. He found the podcast after watching me stream on Twitch, and he never watched Curb before, and he's watching Curb while he's listening to our podcast, Steve. So,
awesome.
So it's really, really great. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Chris. That's really, really kind of you. And I think I speak on both of our behalves when we say that we're happy that we've inspired you to watch Curb. Fantastic show. So that's awesome. All right, let's get on with the episode.
All right. The Larry David Sandwich, the season 5 premiere, aired in the US on September 25th, 2005. A near-death experience changes Larry after a revelation from his father, and he decides to seek expert advice. Meanwhile, a local sandwich shop names sandwiches after both Larry and Ted Danson, but Larry doesn't like his sandwich ingredients. And just one trivia fact I have about the episode, Steve. The actor who plays Leo, he's the deli owner, Ed O'Ross. He's an American actor, but he has a history of playing Russian characters in TV shows. He played Nikolai in 6 Feet Under. I've never seen 6 Feet Under. I got no idea. And he's also played a Russian character in the 1988 Arnold Schwarzenegger film Red Heat. So even though he's an American actor, he plays Russian characters. Pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he does a very good Russian accent, and he kind of looks, like typically Russian. Like his face kind of looks.
He does.
Like he, is from Russia or from Russian descent. So yeah, I can.
He's got a very intense look, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think probably in the 80s as well. Like if that's his first Russian role in an Arnie action film, he probably. I'm guessing he just played generic Cold War Russian villain or like tough guy. And that kind of they're like, hey, you do a Russian really well. We'll typecast you.
He's typecast, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is his third Russian character, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, like, in the 80s, who's the sort of like peak Russian villain in the 80s? Probably Dolph Lundgren as Ivan Drago.
Oh, as Ivan Drago in Rocky.
Ivan Drago.
4? Rocky 3, Rocky 4?
Rocky 3, Rocky 4. And he's not even Russian. He's Swedish, Dolph. So...
Mm-hmm.
So like they couldn't get any Russians to play Russian, so they had to get Swedish people and Americans, to just play like generically evil Russian guys in the 80s.
Well, probably because of the Cold War as well. Yeah. Americans probably didn't want to associate themselves with actual Russian people. So
no, and I'm sure Russian people probably didn't want to, be part of American pop culture either. It's probably a lack of desire on both sides.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah, very interesting trivia.
Yeah, well, there you go. Cool.
But yeah, you're right. He's got the good Russian accent and he's got the look too.
Yeah, and even his body language, like he's very very friendly and open, and he's just like loud and kind of like, typically, I guess, not that Russian people are typical in any way, but he kind of fits the stereotype that people have of like older Russian dudes. So yeah, I think it was. I understand why he plays that regularly.
Yeah, no, he's made for it.
Yeah, totally.
All right, the first scene of the Larry David Sandwich. Larry is floating in the ocean as he is treading water. He begins to struggle to stay afloat. He is caught by a big wave and he starts to drown. He's fighting for his life as he's flailing in the water. He floats back out and he ends up being washed onto the beach, and he struggles to catch his breath and he collapses on the sand. So, pretty scary experience for Larry, being in the ocean like that and nearly drowning. That's pretty scary.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, 15 years ago or so, I had to be rescued by lifesavers at a beach here on the Gold Coast, which is a city in Australia for our non-Australian listeners. Yeah, and it's terrifying. So, but I was lucky that I was at a crowded beach. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and there were lifesavers on the beach who, came out very promptly after I waved because I was out too far and I was struggling to stay afloat. But Larry's on his own. He's on his own.
Yeah, and there's like no lifeguards. It's like an unpatrolled beach and no crowds or anything.
He's pretty far out, which, Larry's I think it's fair to say he's a pretty risk-averse person. So it seems a bit out of character that he would just go out, quite far out into the water and just float there. It just like it sets up the episode well, but it just seems very un-Larry-like.
Yeah, I don't know what went through his head at the time. I don't know. It's really, really odd. He'd seem more like the kind of guy who'd go to like a spa retreat or something.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be like out in the ocean, he'd be in like a safe, controlled environment doing that.
Yeah, I can imagine him in a steam room.
Yeah, imagine him in a steam room and he's like, struggling to breathe or something.
Yeah. I mean,
I know, it's just really, really weird.
Yeah, no, it was an odd. I thought it was like when the episode first started, I thought it was a dream or like a fantasy or something. I didn't realize it was the actual. When I first, I'm like, this doesn't seem like Curb at all. It, maybe it's a dream sequence or a fantasy sequence or something. It just seemed a bit surreal. But yeah, I mean, to be fair though, Larry does say, I think in the next scene, that he just had this sudden impulse to go into the water. So maybe it was, we all have those impulses from time to time where we do something a bit out of character. So maybe that's all it is.
Yeah, he had one of those spontaneous moments that nearly killed him.
Yeah, so no more spontaneous moments for Larry.
That's it for now, anyway. The scene cuts to a big dinner party where Larry is retelling his near-death experience to a crowd. They're stunned at what they hear. Larry says that he prayed to God to keep him alive and adds that something... Oh, you're right. Yeah, adds that something drew him to the water. That's right. Susie exclaims that this happened for a reason. Larry agrees with that. And she says that he may become more respectful to people. And I love this part. Larry's like, I'm already nice. He claims that he's already a nice person and he's respectful to people. He doesn't need an experience to change him. And Susie just like galls at him. I love it.
Yeah, just total lack of self-awareness. We say many, many times that all the trouble that Larry gets into, roughly half of it is his fault and the other half is just, he's been blamed for something or someone's misunderstood something or whatever. But yeah, I would definitely describe him as a disrespectful person in general. He's not very considerate or thoughtful.
Yeah.
Very, very self-centered.
Very self-centered and very selfish too, yeah.
Yeah.
At the same party, Jeff and Larry are chatting together and Larry says he wants to go to the temple after what happened to him. But Jeff says he needs a ticket to attend. So I think it's like they're going to a synagogue and it's like a paid service, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't quite fully understand it, but what I thought maybe was that, maybe regular service on a Saturday. I think they have temple on Saturdays, not Sundays. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's the Sabbath Saturday. That's the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they're fine, but like special services, maybe if there's a guest speaker or if it's like a specific holiday or tradition, maybe it's a ticketed event because it's a bit more, it's probably going to attract people who don't go every week, but would just go, once or twice a year for those special events. That was my understanding, that it wasn't just a regular service.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, no way, normal synagogues would charge every time. I mean, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, it has to be like a special thing.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't touch on it though.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, I can't imagine any religion charging to attend their regular services, but in Catholicism they do pass around the collection plate, and even though it's not a ticket, it's kind of like if you don't donate, you're probably going to be considered to be less than the other people. So it's this implied
heretic.
It's it's free.
But you don't give like $100. Yeah, you don't give $100 in there though. Jeez,
no, that's true.
It's more like what, $20?
Yeah, it kind of.
I get what you mean.
It kind of reminds me of like like you see in TV shows and stuff when parents are trying to get their kids into like elite colleges where it's, you don't have to pay to get in to get a special treatment, but we would appreciate a donation. So it's like, we're not saying we're going to take a bribe, but if you give us a gift, that will count for a lot. Fund. Yeah. It's like Catholicism, it's free.
Put it into the human fund.
Yeah, Catholicism is free. You can come down to the church and sit through the service and pray to God. But we would really, really appreciate a donation in that collection plate.
Yeah, you might as well do tickets at that point.
Yeah, it's free, but it's not free.
I get you. Well, they got to make their money somehow, I guess. Yep. But anyway, Jeff says that he can get a ticket for Larry, and he might be able to, and he'll make some calls and see how he goes. Larry comments he's drinking a cup of coffee, and he comments on the flimsy handle on it, the very small handle, and Larry drinks it with his pinky out, like a very, I guess you'd say a feminine way of drinking, a stereotypical feminine way of drinking a cup of coffee or tea. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's I think the word you're looking for is effeminate.
Yes, effeminate, yeah.
Yeah, effeminate way of drinking tea. And it's, it's like how Brits are portrayed as, like posh British people are portrayed as drinking tea, where they hold it just with their first two fingers and thumb and then put their pinky up to signify their upper crust existence.
That's right. And Larry looks like that.
Yeah.
Jeff tells Larry about a new sandwich at the local deli called the Larry David Sandwich. And Larry, he's very happy to hear this. There's actually something named after him. And I'm thinking this is probably after the success. I guess if we go from continuity, it's not implied, but I think it's probably because of the producers as well. I have a feeling that maybe the producers was such a hit and Larry did it for a little while that maybe like he became more popular and he went on the board, the Larry David Sandwich, as well as his fame of Seinfeld. Yeah, but I think the producers probably accelerated that choice. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, yeah, he is famous. He's well known for being Larry David. There's been several times in the show where people recognize him and want an autograph or want to talk about Seinfeld. But he's still, he's still like a more behind the scenes celebrity. Like he's a writer and a producer and a director, not a public facing or entirely public facing celebrity. So the fact that he's now like a famous actor as opposed to more of a behind the scenes guy, more of a creative guy, yeah, I think just took him over the edge and took him to a point where he could get his own sandwich on the board at Leo's.
Yeah, which is pretty good. A long time coming. Now, that's an honor having like something named after you.
Yeah, totally. I'd love to have sandwiches are probably my favorite food, like consistently my most favorite food. Like a good sandwich to me is something that it's something I always want. Like, sometimes you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't feel like pasta, or, there are things that you want sometimes and don't want other times. But sandwiches, I can always, if it's good sanger with good bread and good filling, I'm always down for that. So having a sandwich named after me on a board filled with celebrity sandwiches, I'd be as stoked as Larry is.
I know it's probably a tough question which you haven't thought of, but what would be on a Steven sandwich? Like, name a couple of ingredients that you like on there. You don't have to explain the whole thing.
I already know.
What would you have?
Yeah, so it would be pesto as the sauce. It would be a really good, like not expensive, but like a high quality sourdough with pesto as the sauce. Roasted peppers, bocconcini, and probably just salad and maybe some salami.
Nice.
There's a cafe just up the road actually that has a sandwich that's very similar, and it's fantastic. And but that
You should
combination,
go up to them and say, "Call it the Steven sandwich."
yeah,
I'm famous. I'm
Yeah,
the
I'm
host
famous.
of Curbcast.
yeah, it's like we get a small audience every week listening to my podcast. You may as well name a sandwich after me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You're getting in on the ground floor here.
Yeah, I mean, you can find a local deli or cafe or something and have an Ivan sandwich. What would be on yours?
Oh, mine probably. I'm thinking probably like a chicken, like maybe like a roasted chicken or a grilled chicken or something. Bit of mayo,
Yep.
a bit of lettuce.
Yep.
Salt and pepper. What else?
That's a classic sandwich there. Chicken, lettuce,
Probably-
mayo.
Yeah, no, you can't beat the classics. Bit of bacon, I reckon.
Oh, yeah. That takes it up.
yeah.
That makes it a bit more fancy.
Probably more like a Caesar, like a Caesar salad, but in a sandwich, you know what I mean? Probably something like that, if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, that basically is
Off the top of my head.
That is like a chicken Caesar salad in a sandwich form. You just need some egg, I guess, some boiled egg.
Yeah. I'd probably skip the egg, but
Okay.
yeah. Maybe some of that. Or maybe like beef, maybe like a roast beef with some gravy.
Nice.
Maybe something like that. Something more classic,
Yep.
That'd be
I mean, don't get me wrong; those sangers are brilliant too. So, but if I had to pick one, it was what I was going to say before. So, but yours
yours is a great combo. Nice Italian Mediterranean style sandwich.
Yeah, just generically Mediterranean, I guess. What would be on your sandwich? Tell us. We'd like to know. Email us at curbcastpod@gmail.com. Tell us what would be on your sandwich if you were famous and you had a sandwich named after you at Leo's. What would be on yours?
Well, hopefully it's not what Jeff explains. So Jeff says what the ingredients are of Larry's sandwich, and they're absolutely disgusting. Like whitefish, sable, 2 kinds of fish, like I mentioned earlier in the show. Onions, that's like some other weird
Capers.
dressing. Yeah, it was yuck.
Yeah, it's all those ingredients are nice. Like I've had whitefish. I don't think I've had sable, but like I've had fish that are similar to whitefish, and I love the capers. I love the flavor of capers, and they're all good ingredients. But just on a sandwich, it's just very combined together on a sandwich. It sounds and seems very unappetizing.
Yeah, it's not right at all.
You sound offended.
It's totally
It's not right.
I know, all mixed together. I am a sandwich connoisseur sometimes, but those flavors in bread, it's disgusting.
It just sounds very like Eastern European. It sounds like
Yes, it's something you probably get in like Moscow or something.
yeah. It's basically like the Soviet Union in a sandwich.
Yeah, let's tear that sandwich down.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear that sandwich down.
And then David Hasselhoff singing, right in the right in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
He's got his nice glittery outfit that he had on.
Yeah, in his 80s.
1991 when the wall went down.
Yeah, in his 80s perm or early 90s perm.
Yeah, that's it. His Knight Rider look. Yeah, love it. Meanwhile, Larry is drinking his coffee near the stairs of a sunken lounge, and a young boy jumps down the sunken lounge stairs and knocks into Larry. He spills his coffee onto the carpet. His mother goes up to them and asks what happened, and the boy denies that he bumped into Larry. The mother shakes her head at Larry and walks off. Cheryl walks in and asks what's happened, as Larry says he wants to go as Jeff and Susie are carpooling. The Greens don't want to leave, as Larry loosely promises to pick them up later, which Jeff doesn't believe. So, Jeff and Susie, maybe I'm guessing it was probably a party that was a bit further away from their house. Maybe Jeff's car was going in for servicing or something, or they just wanted to have a drink and have a good time rather than bring couple of cars. And Jeff and Susie feel pretty slighted when Larry and Cheryl go.
Yeah, I mean, these are
supposed
the
to be
days
their ride.
before, not that they couldn't get home any other way, but these are the days before Uber. They're probably not going to take public transport. They probably think that that's maybe a bit below them or a bit inconvenient. And I think as well, like, even if they had plenty of other options, just the fact that they have to find another option, when you've got your night planned, like, okay, well, I'm getting home with Larry. Like, it's all sorted and you don't have to worry about how am I going to get home. And then all of a sudden you do have to think about it. It puts you out a bit. So I understand, even if they've got options to get home, they could catch a cab or, get a lift from someone else. It wouldn't be that hard. But just being thrown out a bit like that can be a bit frustrating. So I get kind of why Susie's a bit and Jeff are a bit miffed.
Yeah, that's frustrating. Like, imagine you've got a ride home and then suddenly, that's happened to me a couple of times. And, someone says, like, drops you off and says, yeah, I'll drop you off later or something, or I'll drop you home. And then suddenly things change. And then you got to catch a cab or an Uber, or you got to find another way. It's annoying. I mean, you rely on them to take you home, and you've planned everything out, and you don't have any backup options. And then suddenly they bail for some reason, and it's like, oh shit. Yeah, I get what Jeff and Susie have.
Yeah, and it's not even a good reason. It's not like they had to go because of an emergency or because Larry was feeling sick or something. It was just, I'm sick of this. Let's go.
Pretty much. But Cheryl's very reluctant, but Larry's like, no, let's go.
We're going.
Later that evening, Larry and Cheryl are having sex back at home. As the phone rings, she says not to answer it. Larry says it could be Jeff as he picks up the receiver. So mid-coitus, Larry picks up the phone. That's piss poor etiquette.
Oh, totally. I mean, last season, Cheryl already complained that they weren't having enough sex. And, we're guessing that maybe Larry's done a bit to correct that, like increased his effort, and they both certainly seem to be enjoying themselves. Cheryl is calling out Larry's name. They're both, indicating that they're both having a good time. And then Larry and mind you, he's still inside his wife. Like it's not like,
I know, it's
not like you have to get up and go downstairs. He's still like, he just stops mid thrust and picks up the phone and he's having a conversation with Jeff, his manager, while he's still inside his wife. And she's just lying there with Larry. It's just
it's shocking, isn't it?
This is probably my favorite scene of the episode. It's just, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, I know.
It's going to be over in it's going to be over in 5 to 10 minutes. Just call Jeff back, or he'll leave a message. Like it'll just be, "Hey Larry, it's Jeff. Just give me a call back about those tickets," and then call back in 10 minutes. It's not. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Nothing's going to change in 10 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. It's probably one of the better scenes in this episode. I agree. Yeah, it's just like Cheryl's facial expressions make it for me in this one.
Yeah, and she's like, "Don't do it," because she knows what Larry's going to do. She's like, "Don't do it. Don't answer that call." And Larry's like, "Oh, but it could be important," and she's just. And she's off it too. She kicks him off straight away. She's like, "Get off me."
That's right. She does. Yeah. Jeff says to Larry he couldn't get a ticket and he suggests a scalper. Larry says he'll give it a go. And she, like you said, Cheryl is frustrated and says that she's had enough. And she yells at Larry for answering the phone during sex. And she turns her back on him. And Larry is teasing her about intercourse having to be quiet. So Larry, he's not like sympathetic towards Cheryl. He's just like, he's being really rude to her and just like impersonating her.
Yeah, he's just mocking her frustration, like, "Oh, we can't disturb the intercourse."
Intercourse. He's doing like his voice. You got to be quiet during intercourse.
And it's like, what are you like? Yeah, I mean,
what a nut job.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're already, Cheryl already thinks they're not having enough sex, and to just, I don't know, like it's just so insensitive and it's so disregarding of. And why would you want to interrupt sex? Like, that's the best thing you can do. Like, sex is awesome. Why would you want to interrupt that for have a chat to your manager about tickets? You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like you're doing something boring or terrible that you like, it's not like you're watching a TV show you hate and you just, any opportunity.
And you're not doing your tax return.
Yeah, you're not like, I better stop, I better stop putting the washing away. You're doing you're doing the best thing you can do with your wife, and you're more interested in chatting to your manager about fucking tickets. It's peak Larry.
It's peak Larry. Yeah, that's what makes it one of the better scenes. It's just so shocking that he's like you said, he's still inside Cheryl and he's stopped. It's like, it's unbelievable.
It's like, what are you doing, mate? Just wait 5 or 10 minutes.
The next day, Larry and his dad are at the deli. and his dad is loving his sandwich. Larry plays it down, as in the dad is loving Larry's sandwich. Larry plays it down and says he doesn't like the combo. Dad says Larry has no respect for speech as he mumbles too much, and Larry, he's a bit bewildered by this. He's like, what? He's not mumbling, he's speaking just fine. The deli owner Leo greets Larry and thanks him, and he thanks Leo for the sandwich. And Leo asks what he thinks of the sandwich, and Larry does his trademark, you know, it's like not good, but not bad. His sandwich. Leo says he has the best whitefish in the world. Larry suggests putting some cold meats in his sandwich, and Leo vehemently says no. Larry asks if the sandwiches can be switched with someone like Ted Danson, who has a much better sandwich. Leo says if Ted Danson is happy with it, then he will do it as he walks off. Larry sits back down and he says to his dad that Leo nearly broke his hand with his firm handshake. Larry's dad begins choking on his food as an ambulance arrives to take him away. Larry walks back to the counter to grab a handful of mints, and Leo looks on in disgust. So, yeah, a little bit to unpack in this one.
Yeah, I love Leo. I think he's great. And very firm handshake, a very enthusiastic handshaker.
You have an affinity with like foreign business owners, especially when we did Bidwabask as well, when we talked about secondary characters from Seinfeld. Yeah, you seem to love the foreign business owners.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just think because they're just kind of weirdos and they're just who they are. They don't give a shit. I really admire that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good one. But yeah, Larry's dad, like, because, yeah, first of all, he thinks that he's mumbling, like Larry's mumbling, even though he's talking fine. And then, Larry's dad just begins choking on the food.
Do you think he thinks he's mumbling because of the stroke, you know, like the symptoms are starting to show? Because Larry's not mumbling. If anyone's mumbling, it's Larry's dad. He's a mumbler. He speaks.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. It's like the start of the stroke. Yeah.
Like he's not able, like his senses are affected, and he can't hear Larry correctly, and he thinks he's mumbling rather than, you know, having difficulty hearing him or something.
Yeah, it's like a slow burning, like a so to speak, stroke. Yeah, that he's having. Yeah.
Is the choking? I couldn't tell whether the stroke caused the choking, or it was just a coincidence, or the choking pressure on his heart and maybe accelerated the stroke. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it might have been something like that. Yeah, maybe the choking kind of brought it on. But then again, like, you know, the dad says that Larry's mumbling, though. So maybe that's like the start of it. I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe he was having the stroke and then just happened to choke on his food.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, could be just, you know, two unfortunate things.
I really fell from this. It's something that makes me prouder than anything.
All right. I don't even like it.
What?
I don't like it.
Whatever you said just now, you mumbled it, which is something you do. You do a lot. You do a lot of mumbling.
Okay.
You don't have a lot of respect for speech. You could speak a little clearer. It wouldn't hurt anybody else. Laughing in my face.
In the next scene at the hospital, the doctor tells Larry that his dad had a mild stroke, but he'll be okay. The doctor says that some corrective surgery may be needed, and Larry asks him if he could have... This part kills me. Larry asks the doctor if his dad could have had the stroke because of his hate for the sandwich. Who thinks of this?
Oh, yeah, it's just, how narcissistic can you be that you think that someone would have a stroke because you don't like your own sandwich?
He's trying to justify the fact that the sandwich is terrible, and he uses his father's stroke to justify it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. Come on. Not bad enough to have a stroke.
And Larry's dad loved it as well. Like, he, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't pretending to like it. He was stoked. So, yeah, just warped Larry.
It did. But like you said earlier, Steve, the doctor says that choking could have raised his blood pressure, like you said before, but there's no correlation between the two. The doctor says that he loves Seinfeld and that he will offer to do the surgery himself. As he is the chief of surgery, he won't get one of his other surgeons to do it. He will do it himself. Larry thanks him very much, and the doctor begins talking about golf as the scene fades out. So there you go. So lots of reasons why the doctor wants to do this one. He wants to work on Larry David's dad because he's a huge fan of Seinfeld.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's very ethical for a head of surgery to openly admit that, hey, I like what you've done. I'm going to put you to the front of the line, or not even at the front of the line, but I'm going to prioritize you, you know, because I like what you've done. It's a bit unethical there.
A little bit unethical, yeah. But I guess like things like strokes and heart attacks and stuff, that's kind of like, you know, in Australia anyway, they consider like category 1, procedures, like issues. So those have to be, you know, treated right away. So I can kind of see why. I think maybe Larry's dad was going to be in the front of the queue anyway because
True.
of his situation. But yeah, no, but you're right. The fact that he won't delegate one of his surgeons to do it, he's going to do it just because he loves Seinfeld. Yeah, that's a bit, I don't know.
Yeah, he
It
might
can
not,
be a bit unethical too, I guess.
he might not be displacing anyone in the queue for his surgery, or not even queue, but like, you know, someone else might not be worse off because of Larry's dad's situation, but just the fact that he's saying he's giving some sort of preferential treatment for any reason, even if it's not putting anyone else out, I think, you know, is crossing a line that doctors shouldn't cross. So
No, he's still giving Larry an unfair advantage.
yeah, and he's still explaining to him openly, I'm going to do this because I like the fact that you know, I like Seinfeld and I like you. Like he's just straight up saying, you know, I'm treating you favorably because of who you are.
Oh, well, we find out more things about the doctor later on. Larry is talking to his dad by his bedside and blames the sandwich for his stroke. His dad is non-responsive. Larry laments about what other fillings could have been used in his sandwich. The dad is trying to communicate with Larry and he beckons him closer. Larry lurches forward and Dad whispers to Larry that he is adopted. And Larry, he can't understand what he's trying to say at first. He thinks he's saying another word. But then eventually Larry realizes that Dad is saying adopted. And this shocks Larry. As he's about to say something, the nurse asks him to leave the room as he is still in shock. Larry walks out of the hospital room and tells the waiting room, he just says out loud he could be adopted as he runs out of the hospital. He just like tells all these random strangers. It's like,
Yeah, I think
my God, I could be adopted.
Yeah, he's just in total shock.
Yeah, but that's quite a revelation. I mean, you know, being told, even though this is, you know, like at this point in the episode, it's probably just Larry's dad, you know, saying random shit. But like being told you're adopted, that would be a big fucking deal for you.
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend maybe 5 or 6 years ago who found out that he was adopted, and he's our age, you know, he's like mid-30s, and he, you know, it took him a while to, like, it, you know, it didn't cause any problems between him and his family, but, you know, it was a lot to get his head around. So, yeah, I mean, Larry's 60, so that would be a massive revelation. You know, it would, I think, even more so the older you get.
Yeah, that'd be huge and a lot to process.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, one of the rare times where you feel a bit of sympathy for Larry.
A little bit of sympathy, but you have that hope that maybe Larry's dad was like, you know, said the wrong thing or something like that. You have a bit of hope. Like maybe it was the stroke that you know, that told him that, you know, that made him say different stuff like that.
Yeah, it could have just been out of his mind.
Yeah. That's what I like about this part of the episode. It's like it's pretty ambiguous if it's the case.
Yeah.
Larry and Jeff are at a TV studio watching Ted Danson do a practice run for a sitcom. As Larry explains the adoption revelation, Jeff says his dad may have had lack of oxygen to the brain as Ted walks up to them. Ted says hello to them, and Larry tells him that Leo's has a sandwich named after Larry. He asks if he and Ted can swap sandwich flavors, as Ted doesn't go in there often. Ted agrees at first, and he asks what Larry's combo is. Larry says what the combo of the sandwich is, and I love how he's saying each ingredient, and then Ted's like, "Oh, whitefish, okay, yeah, sable, okay, yeah, 2 kinds of fish, all right," and then he's like, "This, yeah, capers." Jeff says capers, onions, and then Ted's like, "Oh my God!" And eventually Ted says he doesn't like the sandwich. He's like, 2 fishes in a sandwich? What is this? After Ted hears the ingredients, he reneges on the deal and says it sounds awful. And Larry and Ted get into an argument about sandwich fillings.
His facial expression is less and less keen as they're listing the ingredients. He's happy to do it. I don't think he even knows he has a sandwich there. Does he? I can't remember.
He says he goes, Larry says he only goes in there, like Ted goes in there like once a month or something. Or maybe a couple of times a year or something. He probably doesn't even know he has a sandwich there, but he doesn't go there often enough to appreciate it. And Larry's like, I go in there every week.
Yeah, or 3. I think he says 2 or 3 times a week. But yeah, you see
2 times a week. Yeah.
Yeah, you see Dan's smile. Dan, you see Ted's smile.
Ted.
Yeah.
Son of Dan.
Dan Tedson, that guy.
Dan Tedson.
Dan Tedson. He's great. He was good in Boca.
Boca. Yeah, he was in that show where it was in like a nightclub, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Cheers. Wasn't that
Cheers.
That one?
Yeah.
He was like the nightclub. He worked the nightclub or something. Something like that.
Yeah, he was a gridiron player.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, you see his face become less and less enthused as they're listing the ingredients, which you know, again, understandable. You know, on their own, fine. Combined in a sandwich, nah.
Yeah, I think it turns when Larry says there's whitefish, and Ted's like, "Oh yeah, whitefish, yeah," and then he goes sable, and then Ted's like 2 fish in a sandwich.
Yeah,
what is this? That's the turning point. I feel. He's like,
yeah,
no,
for sure.
Not quite right. Yeah, no, it's good.
Just so if anyone asks me, what's in my new sandwich?
Oh, okay. It's, you got whitefish. You know whitefish?
Whitefish?
Whitefish and sable.
What is sable?
Sable, it's a fish.
It's a fish
you
like a whitefish, same as
Yeah.
smoked fish.
Smoked fish, yeah.
Yeah.
You have two
Two
you have
fishes. Yeah,
in
but
the
they,
sandwich?
they blend very well together. They're like Siamese twins, whitefish and sable.
What else is in it? No condiments?
Cream cheese.
There's some cream cheese. It's
Capers.
there may be some capers. I'm not sure. If you don't like them, you can brush them off. That's not a big deal.
Onions.
Then in the next scene, a scalper is trying to scalp tickets to just outside the temple as Larry walks up to him. He offers Larry 2 front row seats for $600. Larry offers $300, which he accepts. Larry spots the boy from the other night walking into the synagogue as Larry buys the tickets. He goes up to the front door to the Greens and Cheryl where they're waiting, and Larry won't disclose the ticket price, how much he paid for them, after Jeff asks. Cheryl thanks them for carpooling, for the Greens to be carpooling with them. Susie is asking about Larry and if he has any relatives, because she found out about the adoption thing, obviously, through Jeff. Larry says that he had a nanny named Johanna Seidemann, who's in a nursing home in Queens, which Antoinette, his personal assistant, found out about. So we find out that Antoinette came back. So in that line of dialogue, we found out because Antoinette quit in Wandering Bear in last season, so it looks like she came back.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that Larry probably bumped her pay and offered to treat her better and, fix the situation to entice her back.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. I love how there's like that one line of dialogue which sets that up. So it's good. We thought we'd never see Antoinette again, but it's implied she's back. But probably on, higher pay.
Yeah, he probably had to do a lot to bring her back.
Yeah, I could imagine. They could have done a whole episode just on that.
Yeah,
but it's good to have it back. And he wrote a letter to Johanna. Larry asks if the Greens pick up the phone during sex, because Cheryl walked off to go get something, and they say absolutely not. Larry spots in the distance Richard Lewis chatting to Leo in the distance, and it looks like Leo is complaining to him about Larry. And Larry, it seems like Leo's very frustrated and Richard's like listening to him, and Larry's a bit confused. A man named Rob walks up to them and he points to Susie, who says, and he says to Larry, "Are you and your wife ready to walk in?" And Larry says, "Oh, she's not my wife." And Susie gets really, really offended about this. Susie's like, it's always like, ugh, no, when it's to do with Susie.
They're enemies anyway, so Susie shouldn't be surprised that Larry reacted that way.
Yeah, it's like he just gets repulsed at the thought of Susie being his wife. It's great.
Yeah,
and she gets so offended.
Yeah. I mean, it would be quite offensive to see that, but at the same time, they dislike each other so much and they're always at each other's throats. So it shouldn't be too much of a surprise that Larry was disgusted at the idea of her being his wife.
It's just hilarious. Like Susie just goes off the rails. It's great.
Yeah.
The procession is going ahead as Larry is trying to find the verse in the Tanakh. A chant begins and Richard is in one row down but slightly left of Larry. He whispers to Larry about him trying to swap his sandwich with Ted Danson's. The crowd and the rabbis at the front go quiet as the argument escalates. A security guard goes up to Larry to ask for his ticket. He looks at the boy who appears to have ratted him out because the security guard he turns to the boy and says, "Is this the man?" And the boy just nods his head. So he ratted out Larry. What a rat of a kid, huh?
Yeah, little rat. Future cop.
Rat. Yes, indeed. The Davids are forced to leave as Larry complains to the mum about the dainty coffee cup from the previous night. Susie asks if they'll wait for them to go home. Larry says to ask someone else to give them a lift. So once again, the Greens are shafted by the whole carpooling situation.
Yeah, they're not having much luck. I think they should just drive themselves everywhere they go.
They should, yeah. They shouldn't rely on Larry anymore. That's just ridiculous. But yeah, funny how the kid, he probably told the security guard that Larry would scalp the tickets. He saw him buy them.
Yeah.
At the stairs there. And Larry just gets done. Larry, Jeff, and the doctor are playing golf. As Larry says, as the doctor is trying to take his swing, Larry says to Jeff that the doctor left his wife to be with his secretary. Larry says he hasn't heard from the nanny, Johanna, yet, but he's hoping for a response. As the doctor is trying to take a swing of his golf club, he begins to have arm spasms and he can't hit the ball. Larry gets worried as he will do the surgery on his father. I mean, that is a bit of a fear, isn't it? I mean, when you have a surgeon or someone who'll be doing a very meticulous procedure on you and you see them have shakes or things slip out of their hand or something, you're like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, it would be
it's a bit scary.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be concerned. So I think Larry has every right to be worried that, this guy who gets the yips playing golf, how is he going to handle surgery?
Yeah. That is quite concerning. Yeah. I mean,
Totally.
I'm luckily like my surgeons that I've had have never done that, but they've all been fantastic. But yeah, that'd be scary if like I was in like the surgeon's office and we were discussing a procedure and then like they were shaking or they kept dropping things or something. I'd be like, okay,
Well, yeah,
probably time to go to someone else.
hopefully a surgeon would be humble enough to go, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do surgery while I'm dealing with this.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd be fine. I'm sure they just delegate it to someone else.
Totally.
Larry complains to Cheryl about the doctor's yips, like you said in the previous scene. Larry is worried about the operation as Cheryl says he needs to call the doctor to change his surgeon. Larry goes to call him. Larry asks Cheryl to leave the room as she slinks off. Larry calls the doctor, and which mirrors the same scene as Larry and Cheryl previously. The doctor is having sex with his very much younger and very pretty secretary. And unlike Larry, the doctor leaves the phone ringing. So, very smart guy.
Yeah, he's obviously got his priorities straight.
It's still rude, yeah, 100%. But the doctor, he's got everything right.
Yeah.
he's not meticulous like Larry.
No, he's happy to call the person back.
That's right. Back in the hospital, Dad is lying in the bed, and he denies that he said that Larry was adopted. So Larry's dad has all his tubes removed now, and he's able to like speak and stuff. He denies that he said Larry was adopted. Larry says he is meeting his surgeon for lunch at the deli, and the dad once again says he never was adopted. And they give each other one of the trademark stare downs for about 20 seconds, and Larry eventually says that he believes his dad. So. Yeah, he's staring down his dad, and I love how his dad's staring Larry down, and Larry, he says that, you must be right.
Yeah, and this to me proves that, or is a pretty good indicator that he's not adopted. That's a very distinct trademark that they both share, the stare down.
Yeah, the stare down, yeah. And he can see through his dad, and he knows that his dad probably just said it because of the stroke.
Yeah, he seems relieved.
Yeah, he does, very, very relieved. Larry arrives for lunch at the deli and asks for a Larry David sandwich. The waitress says the name has been changed to a Richard Lewis sandwich, and we see some like masking tape over Larry's name with Richard Lewis written in like marker, magic marker. Larry spots Richard laughing with his friends at a table. He walks over and accuses Richard of stealing his sandwich as they begin arguing. Larry accuses Richard of jealousy. And during the heat of the argument, Larry tells Richard that he's adopted. Richard can't believe it as Leo is looking on. And it's the first time we've seen Richard in a little while, Steve. You did lament last episode when we reviewed season 4 that there wasn't enough Richard, but Richard was in this one. I'm sure you were happy to see him.
Yeah, definitely. And I was happy that they are back to their frenemies kind of vibe. They're at each other's throat about the sandwich, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, they are. And I think Richard probably wanted his own sandwich and he tried convincing Leo. Or maybe, he was probably like saying shit about Larry. And he's like, can I just take over that sandwich? I don't think Richard cared about what fillings were in there. I think he just wanted the sandwich.
No, it was... Yeah, he just wanted to beat Larry. It had nothing to do with the sandwich. Yeah, I think he probably told Leo that Larry thinks that the sandwich is terrible, and that he's been trying to change it and bitching about it. So, he probably just convinced Larry that he doesn't appreciate it, but that he does and he deserves it.
Yeah, he does. And Richard even says he goes in there several times a week as well. So, yeah, he deserves a name on the board.
I think he says 5 times a week.
5 times a week. Yeah, that's pretty good. Jeez,
yeah.
He must really love it.
Back to, we did talk a bit before about what sandwiches we would have if we had our own. Even if I did, I don't think I'd go and eat it 5 times a week. Like, that's a lot.
I don't think so. Yeah, that is a lot. Yeah, no, I'd probably go maybe like once every couple of weeks, but
I'd feel so arrogant as well. Going, hey, can I have my own sandwich again? Just every day. Hey, can I have a Stephen? Can I have a Stephen? Can I have a Steve? It would just feel so. I don't know. It would just feel so weird ordering your own sandwich every.
Yeah, it's very weird and very self-absorbed.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't like that either. I don't know. Well, maybe, I don't think Richard would he probably tries different sandwiches, but yeah. No, that would be weird if you order the Richard sandwich all the time.
Yeah. Occasionally for sure, but every day, maybe not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, every day. If like during the week, that's pretty weird. Leo is looking on. Leo says that to Larry that he is adopted as well as they hug, and he offers any sandwich on the board to Larry for his name. And a bit of trivia, Steve, if you check the board, if you pause, you can see some names on there. Some actors who were in previous episodes of Curb. Jason Alexander has his own sandwich. Mel Brooks has his own sandwich as well. He's on the bottom right. What other names did you spot? I spotted Billy Crystal as well. He has a sandwich, even though he hasn't been on Curb yet. But some famous names on there. What other names did you notice? Did you spot any more?
Just the Mel Brooks one. That's the only one that I spotted.
You spotted? Oh, yeah. I saw the Jason Alexander one. I thought that was a nice one. Nice touch.
Nice touch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a few good ones. I might have to go back and pause on that board and see what other names there were. They were the only 3 that I could find.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch.
Bunch of famous ones. Yeah, that's awesome. Larry asks to have his name on the Ted Danson sandwich as the surgeon walks in. Leo goes to shake the surgeon's hand hard, and it hurts him a lot. So Leo does a firm handshake, and it basically almost breaks the surgeon's hand. And Larry, you think that maybe he'd be a bit worried or something. Larry is like very thankful. He's very thankful to Leo. He's relieved more than anything.
Yeah, I think he's just happy to have it back.
Yeah, he's happy. He's happy to and happy to have another surgeon look after his dad. So he doesn't want a surgeon with the yips.
Yeah, again, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, it's funny. Like I said, Larry just that sigh of relief that comes in when he sees that happening. It's like, phew, yes. In the final scene, Larry's phone is ringing as he and Cheryl are once again having sex. He says it could be the nanny, and Cheryl tells him to let the phone ring out, and he lets the phone ring out. The scene cuts to a lady, like an old lady who's in the bed with her nurse by her side, and that is Johanna Seidemann, we find out. She says to the nurse that she had an answer for Larry's, adoption or whatever, and she passes away. And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So Johanna knew something.
Yeah, I think, and that will be the mystery that carries the season through.
Yeah, it's like she's about to say something, and then she just literally dies in her deathbed as the nurse tries to wake her up. It's like, I was meant to say this. Poof. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It's like an open-ended mystery. We'll find out. Well, it sounds to me like this will be the theme of the season. It'll be like Larry finding out if he's adopted or not.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's pretty it's a good storyline to carry through a season. Doesn't seem to, there's a lot there that they can use. Yeah, and it's just an interesting mystery, like it's a bit more personal for Larry. The stakes are a bit higher for him.
Yeah, because I mean, finding out your family history, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Probably the most high stakes plot in Curb so far for him.
Yeah, definitely for him. I mean, you've got the main season 4 storyline was the producers, and if Larry screwed that up, it's obviously it would cost him a lot not cost him a lot financially, but there's a lot on the line for him, but there's a lot on the line for a lot of other people, and even though we found out that Mel wanted him to screw it up, we didn't find that out until the very end of the last episode. And then in the previous season with the restaurant, all of these season-long storylines seem to, if it screws up or if it goes wrong, a lot of people will suffer. Whereas this, it's just Larry, which I think is an interesting choice. It's a lot more personal for him rather than,
it's a more personal thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, he's the only one. I mean, obviously Cheryl will be affected. It's going to affect other people, but mostly it's just Larry.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a personal journey for him.
Yeah, rather than, trying to undertake a challenge or a task that a lot of people have a lot riding on. It's just basically just him, which is a nice. I thought was a nice. It's a well thought choice, I thought.
Yeah, it is. Well, let's see how it turns out for Larry. We'll find out at the end, huh?
Yeah, for sure. What did you think of this episode?
I thought it was okay. I mean, not the strongest premiere, season premiere episode, but it's an episode that just lays the foundations for this next season to come. I give this one 2.5 Larrys out of 5. I thought it was average. What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same. Didn't love it. Didn't hate it. Pretty middle of the road, a few laughs. Loved the Larry picking up the phone during sex with Cheryl. That was by far and away my favorite scene in the episode. But yeah, it's just a foundational, setting up episode. So, but yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, let's see where it leads us, huh?
For sure.
And that was season 5, episode 1 of Curbcast. Thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email, curbcastpod@gmail.com. We are also on social media at curbcastpod. Be sure to find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Reddit. And we also have a Facebook group called Curb Your Enthusiasm Fan Club, where you can put up all your Curb memes. You can talk about your favorite episodes or anything to do with the show. You can find that on Facebook as well. And we have a Patreon for our very burgeoning, very small podcast network. You can help us out financially, $1 a month, to help us keep the lights on over at Mishmash Media, patreon.com/Mishmash Media. And my name's Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
And we're going to see you next week for The Bow Tie, season 5, episode 2. You take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you then. Bye. Thanks for listening. This podcast is part of Mishmash Media, an independent podcast network. Follow us on social media at Mishmash Media AU or support us on Patreon. All those links are in the show notes.